Misrepresentation of mild traumatic brain injury research in press releases. So this happens all the time. And I know that a lot of you that are in the CCMI network will say, hey, what have you seen this news story, this study that came out? And I get sent this stuff all the time from people to just say, hey, check this out. This, news release came out. And when you actually read the paper behind the news release, you realize that it's so far off of what the hyped up spin doctored news release said, right? And so this study actually takes a look at that and shines a little bit of a light on it, which is nice. What they did in this particular scenario is they took research press releases that were based on scientific research from academic institutions, and specifically in the field of concussion, mild traumatic brain injury. And they tried to see how much spin or hype was in the news release and what the media is reporting versus what the actual scientific articles reported. Okay. So this happens a lot, as you could expect, but this is interesting. So spin refers to presenting findings in a biased and more favorable light than the results justify. Examples of spin include claims of causality not supported by the data, right? Like concussions cause CTE, claims of causality that are not supported by the data, exaggerating the clinical relevance or significance of research, misleading titles, minimizing or ignoring study limitations, no acknowledgement of non-statistically significant outcomes, focus on positive secondary outcomes, inappropriate extrapolation of the study results. So the current study sought to perform a systematic content analysis of MTBI press related press releases to determine if scientific press release spin the content, misleading readers and patients. Retrospective study of the EurekAlert database from 2012-2019. Apparently, this is one of the main distribution engines for scientific press releases. And basically, they were evaluated for manifestations of spin, including misleading titles, misleading reporting, misleading claims, etc. There's a bunch of different, percentages here, but I just want to show some of the ones I've highlighted in red here. 35% of press releases provided the title of the corresponding research publication. So basically, the other 65% basically withheld the actual title of the study. So it makes it hard to find it. Only 36% provided an actual link to the actual study, right? So the press release is almost designed to prevent people from finding the actual study, right? Which there's a little bit of a red flag right away. 48% of press releases provided neither the title or the link. Therefore, the authors had to manually search for the corresponding journal article, which can be tough, especially if the title isn't given. Inadequate characterization of study participants was noted in 21% of press releases, while inadequate description of study methodology was noted in 55% of press releases. Here's the big ones. 58% of press releases had misleading titles. 73% of press releases were misleading with regard to reporting. 65% of press releases contained misleading claims. Most commonly was overstating implications or validity of the research. 48% of press releases had inappropriate extrapolation of research. Most common was inappropriate generalization to another population. Also, some of these were using animal study data to extrapolate that information to humans. And we can't necessarily do that, right? We have to use that as a limitation that this is an animal study. It doesn't necessarily do the same thing in humans. Based on the study, authors 4 pre-established categories of spin. 82% of press releases demonstrated at least one category of spin. 18% showed no form of spin. So this is something we need to take into consideration, especially when our patients come to us and ask us questions about particular studies. I saw this news article about X study. This is why the entire world believes that CTE is a foregone conclusion for multiple concussion injuries. We actually have no clue. The research is so far away from how the media has spun it or how the press releases of the academic institutions spin it. The goal here of the academic institutions in a lot of scenarios is to generate funding for their research arms. So by putting out really interesting studies, they generate interest from alumni, et cetera, to donate money back towards research labs. So oftentimes it is hyped up and the results don't match the significance that the press release and media put on it, okay? So just keep that in mind. The things you read in the media need to be taken with a grain of salt. I think we have learned that over the past year.